What I did was I bought in the community portfolio. So what I did, because we have $1,000 in this portfolio. So what I did was I bought a share since we last met, I bought Mara. I bought SCHD because SCHD did a 3-for-1 split. So I bought one share so we could watch what happens when it splits. So today was a split day. So we bought one share, but see over here, now we have 3 shares. 3-for-1 split means we have one share of SCHD. We bought this share at like $85.62. Or no, actually, I can't. We actually bought it at $85.44. Um, but when it does its split, that means for every one share you have, SCHD is going to give you 3 shares. But what also happens is the value of it doesn't change. So even though we paid, let's say, $85.62, now it's going to trade at a new price of $28.54. Still have the same amount of money that you put into it, but now instead of having one share, you have 3. So let's say you had 10 shares, then 10 times 3 would be you'd have 30
30.
shares. Now, the reason that SCHD would do this or a company does a stock split is because the value of their stock becomes so high and they do a stock split so that people can afford it. I shared why we bought Tesla, right? And then we bought Mara. Okay, but here's what I did with Mara. So Mara, you guys, so now we go here, ready? Okay, I'm going to go to what's called a closed position. Your closed position is when you sell a stock. So now if I go to so here we have overview, dividend view, fund performance, and closed position. So when we go to the closed position, that's because I also sold some of Mara. Okay. So see here, so the reason I sold Mara and then the reason I kept one share is because I wanted to show you. Remember how we talked about buying and selling for one share? I mean, for 1%, right? So Mara reached 1.5%. So I said, well, I'm going to sell Mara. Even though I kind of know Mara is closing a gap at 17.29, I knew Mara is kind of like going up and down and more headed towards the upward direction. I sold these shares so that we could gain the 1%. So all of these stocks were some of these were like 1%. So this is what we made $3.71 with Mara. Okay. Now, if we take so here right here is what it cost us. This is the cost basis. This is the proceeds. If we take $3.71 and we divide that by so that's a 371, that's what we profited, right? Because it's in the green, so we know we're in the plus, right? So we take $3.71, and we divide it by $217, 217.98. That means we made 1.7%. So we made a little over 1.5%. So do you know how I shared with you guys 1% every day on your money for 20 trading days is 22% a month? One and
Yeah.
a half percent is actually 30% a month. You don't even want to know what it is a year. But we're going to go with 1% because 1% is doable, right?
Mhm.
But sometimes you get 1.5%. I'm going to show you right here. You want to say something, Mike?
Now, Terry, yeah, two quick things. And that 1%, that 1% plus we just made, um, that's just on that one stock, right? So
Yes.
the chart you've been showing us over the last couple of days with regards to the 1% daily, that's still like a goal of the overall portfolio for the day, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Or
got
the
it.
money that you're trading. Because
Right,
remember,
right, right.
I said if you're going to put 1,000 in right now, we're only going to trade with 25%. I'm trading with a little bit more, but I only
Right,
want you guys to trade with 25%. Of course, your experience level, right?
right,
So
right.
yes, that's correct, Mike. But let's put this in perspective now. Let's say you're trading and you have $10,000, right?
Right,
And you
right.
bought 10,000 worth of Mara and you multiply that by 0.01.5%. It was actually 0.017. 10,000 times 0.017, hold on a second, should be like 170, I think,
Yeah.
is $170 a day. So let's say you had 30,000 in tomorrow, or let's say you had 1,000. So what I'm saying is start small because when you have more money, the percentage is still the same. And when you trust the stock, so in the beginning, when I was buying one or two shares, then I was buying five. Then, it's like, whoo, now I'm buying 100, 200 shares. I have some stocks that I have 1,000 shares of. And I
Mm,
might be buying 500 shares of that stock today and I'm selling it today. But I'm
mm.
more comfortable now because I started with one, then five, then 10, then 25, then 50, right? So that's why I say the percentages are the same, but each time I put more money in or I grew it, the feeling, oh, I don't know if I'm trading with more, but I'm a little bit nervous now. So I
Right,
say just, and you can make mistakes too, even as you get more nervous, right? Even though
right,
the information's still the same. So that's why I say ease yourself into the day trading and the swing trading. The swing trading's easier because if we track, so together, I'd like for us to track seven stocks, which is SCHD, Mara, O Realty, SoFi, Exxon, Kimberly Clark, and Nvidia. And because we don't really have that much time, I'll cover that a little bit more on our next session Monday, why I picked those stocks, because I really kind of want to go through this a little bit, what we did with buying and selling. Okay. I picked Mara because Mara is volatile, which means
right.
I can show you ups and downs. So I kind of wanted to go over Mara's chart, but let me go back to positions. So overview. Okay, so the reason I kept one share is because I wanted to sell it at 1.5% to say you can sell it at 1.5%. We're not trying to wait for the big money, but I knew Mara was going to go up. So Mara right now, the one share that we kept, see here, it's at 4.42%. Okay, Mar was at 16, when it hit 16, 17. That was at 5%. It was hard for me not to sell it, but I'm keeping it for the sake of the training, right?
Right, right,
Now, imagine that you took $10,000 and you made 5% on Mara. I sold it at 1.5%, knowing it was probably going to go up to 5%, but I sold it at 1.5% just to show you don't if you don't know the stock, don't wait for it. Don't be looking for 3, 5%.
right,
It's
right,
that
right,
I've been tracking this stock, so I know this stock. So see right here where it says today's gains and losses, and then total gains and losses. And that's why I said you have to be careful because it looks like here we might be at 5.58%. That's today. This is our actual. Our
Gotcha. So
total is our actual. So that's what I'm going to keep mentioning over and over again. It's important to know the difference between today and total. This is what this is at right now, right?
right,
When this was at $16.17, we were over 5%. So now imagine you had $10,000 of Mara at 5%, right?
yeah,
That would be $500. Okay. So you can't always look for those returns, but if you start tracking the stock, you might get those returns. But we're happy with 1% because 1%, 10 times our money in a year,
right,
right? But here's the other thing. If you get 5%, so let's say you're trading with 10,000 and you got 5% in a day, right? You don't even have to do anything else for that week. 5% times 4 weeks is 20% a month.
right,
Remember, 22% a month is 10 times your money in a year. $10,000 the first year turns into 100,000, the second year turns into 1 million at just 1%. That's why it's real good to get used to, oh, I'm getting 1%, 2%. Now, what will happen sometimes is if you're tracking it, you'll wake up and you'll be at 5%. And then you're like, thank you, Jesus, you know,
right,
because you
right,
tracked it and you did the work, right? Okay, so I knew that Mara was going to go up more. I wanted to keep this. And at 5%, I could have sold it, but I really just wanted to show you the percentages here. Okay. As that's why we have SCHD. And then I wanted to show you with Tesla. Now, UNG, the reason I bought UNG is because I've been tracking UNG. And UNG has, so Mara, you guys, has a gap at $17.29. So what has a gap up? So what's that mean? Waiting for it to go back up to $17.29. See, below $15 is my buy zone. $15 is my buy zone, right? But now it's heading up, so we have it at 15.40, right? But today, so let me show you the charts with Mara. Okay, but UNG, the reason I kept UNG, because Mike, we talked about, okay, so it's okay for me, so I didn't talk about this. The goal when you're day trading is to get out of all your stocks every day. So one day I had like a $250 day, okay? But I didn't have all my money back. So my goal when I'm day trading, so that's why you have to know when I'm buying the stock, am I day trading or am I swing trading? Am I dividend investing? Why am I buying this stock? What's my plan for this stock? Right? So our plan for SCHD may be to dividend invest. All right. My plan for Tesla was because I kind of want to show you what Tesla's going to do. But UNG, I already know that UNG right now at 1477 is its low. So see right here, we have 5 shares of UNG. This is where our share count is. So we have 1 share of Tesla, we have 5 shares of UNG, okay? If we scroll down here, if I hit that drop down bottom, we got 1 share at 1475 and we got 1 share at 1478. The reason I did that was at 1475, I thought this might be the low. Yesterday's low for UNG was 1466. I didn't believe that it was going to go down to 1466, but the reason I only bought 1 share, because I wanted 5 shares for our portfolio. So I said, I'm just going to buy 1 share just in case it goes down to 1466. I would have bought 4 more shares. But when I saw in the pattern that it was starting to go up, I bought 4 more shares at 1478 because I didn't want to, because I want to get it at this price if this was going to be the bottom for today.
Right.
Okay.
Gotcha.
So, okay, so that's why I kind of like bought 1 share. Now, if I was buying in a different my other portfolio, if it wasn't in our community portfolio, I would have probably bought 10 shares of UNG and then 40 shares later on, right? Or I might have bought 25 shares at 1475 and then, 75 shares later on. So it depends on how many you're going to buy, but I knew I was going to buy 5. So I wanted to just buy 1 and then 4. Okay. So let me go back to the charts then. And um, where's the chart? So I'm gonna go here. I'm gonna go there where I'm gonna put UNG at the top in our search button, and I'm gonna click there. Now it's gonna take me to a different view. And the view is this view, when you're putting it in the search button, it's taking you to what it did for the day. So see, it did 1472 to $15.03 for the day. Okay, so now if I'm going to go to the chart, it closed at $14.80, which was negative 2.18% less than yesterday. So this percentage is what it closed at. Okay, so remember I told you it can close and it can look like it could be the negative, but this could have shot up to $16. So that could have been a money-making day. But somebody who's just looking at what it closed at would have been like, oh, that stock's going down. But if it went up to $16, I made money.
Right.
Okay. And remember, this is going to be like learning a foreign language, but the more you hear it, and then when you buy stocks, then you're going to go, oh, it's going to start to click. And I just want to remind everybody that you can do this. Okay. Like you really can do this. Um, and then especially you're doing it with a team of people. All right. So here's the chart. So now I'm going to go to the 1 day view because it always starts at the 6 day, 1 day view. Okay. So today, um, it started up here. See, so just because it says 1508, it started at the high price. So when you look at the day range, it doesn't mean that it went up and down, and see how it started going down. See? So
Mhm.
this it's a point here, and you're seeing a downward pattern. You're going to see this more in Mara. I probably should have showed you Mara first, right? So at this price, I knew I normally don't buy at the end of the day, but I didn't buy this for a day trade. I bought this for a swing trade because I know that this is at its low, right?
Right.
1460. Go ahead.
No, you made a comment there. You said you normally don't buy at the end of the day. Why? Why? Why not?
Because I don't know if tomorrow I'm going to wake up and this is going to be $13.
So, like based on that gap you showed earlier, when it closed higher, and then the next day it started off lower.
Yes.
Gotcha. But well,
I'm sorry.
now
I
here's
don't buy at the end of the day when I'm day trading.
that's what I was going to say. That was my next question.
So
Gotcha.
that's why it's important. Are we day trading? Are we
Right.
swing trading? Are we building a dividend portfolio?
Right.
Right?
Yep.
Yes, great question, Mike. Yep. So, okay, so let me show you Mara's chart because Mara's chart I can really show you a lot on. But the most important thing, you don't even have, you can actually start trading without knowing how to read these charts because we're writing down the highs and lows and what's the low, right? And, if I say it's up to you guys, but I will tell you, this is my buy zone. This is what I'm buying it for. So you could buy one stock if you want to buy one stock. It's up to you. But I do encourage you to start buying stock, start investing, right? Okay, so and you're not investing blindly because you're, with a group of people now. So this is Mara. So Mara is very volatile. So I like to show what Mara does. I'm always like, Mara, you're so tricky today. What are you gonna do? I kind of wish I could have had you guys while it was actually moving today. I was like, oh man. All right, so that's one day. Okay. So sometimes I personally switch between the 1 day view and the 2 day view. This is for anybody who's going to do it during the day. When I'm trading and I'm on Active Trader Pro and I'm looking at the chart, I switch back and forth between the 1 day view and the 2 day view because one view makes it more clear. Okay, so look at Mara. So this is the 2 day. Right here, this is where the day ended. Look at this right here. Mara has a gap right here. Mara has a gap at 1526. So in my notes, I'm going to write Mara's going to gap back down to 1526. That's a small gap, but there's a possibility she could gap back down to 1526. So that's what I wrote in my notes, right? For Mara. Okay. But Mara shot straight up this morning to $15.57. Okay. Then Mara shot down to $15.55. This is what I want to show you guys. On a $15.55 stock, and you multiply that by 0.01, because on a day, that stock only has to go up 15 cents. Right? And that stock only has to go up 15 cents for you to get 1%. That's why when I started looking at this, when I was like, man, this fund money is fun, but shoot, this fund money can turn into freeing my husband from his job. I
Mm,
was like, this is crazy. So then I actually did the math like over 100 times because I didn't believe it was real. I'm like, but here's the thing about math, it doesn't lie.
right.
1% of 10,000 is still 1%. 1% of 1,000 is 1%. So I started looking at it and I said, man, 1% is so doable. On a $40, because I like to trade a firm. It's one of my favorite stocks to trade. Okay. That's a 40, sometimes $30 stock. I'm like, it only has to go up 30 cents.
Yeah.
Okay. Nvidia, only if it's $100, only has to go up $1 to get your 1%.
So Terry, so here, I know we talked about this a little bit at the last meeting. So starting from scratch, and obviously with the community group, we don't necessarily have to start from scratch. We can just kind of follow those through faith and patience and inherit the promises, right? So we'll just use these particular, 7 stocks or whatever. But in general, again, other than hearing some tidbit of news at the Wawa or whatever, because there's so many stocks out there, and just in the category of stocks, not like foreign exchange and everything else, but just the category of stocks. Where does one start to say what are the list of stocks that are available, and then
So
how?
honestly, Mike, it's the same answer I gave Giovanni earlier, right? Because when I said to him, why did you pick that one? So
Right,
it doesn't even matter how reputable the company is.
right, right.
The start is to track that stock. But there's so many stocks, you could almost pick any reputable company you want and start tracking the stock.
So just okay, I got you. So don't be tied. So basically, you're saying don't be tied by the name of the gloss, Nike or whatever. Not discounting Nike,
Right.
but the the thing is, irrespective of what the stock is based on, not based on popularity or what you've heard, just start tracking, regardless of what it is,
Yes.
and then because you
Pick
can,
a stock and know why you're going to track it and start tracking it, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
now, because the news, okay, so there's a whole bunch of stuff we haven't talked about, like who buys the stock. So
right,
there's insider trading,
right,
institutional, and that's who buys the stock. And that's really what you and I, all of us buying the stock together, we're not making this move. What
right,
I'm doing is I'm following the institutions. So when I see a gap up, I'm like somebody who had a lot of money, an
right,
insider trader, sold a whole bunch.
right,
So now I'm waiting for them. Then now that's the low price. I'm going to buy there. Chances are they're going to sell there again,
right,
right? So Tesla at 252, when I had it at 160, Okay, I was scared to go to 252. Why? I got stuck at 252. Tesla just went to 271, right? I sold at 240. Okay? Because, but guess what? I don't have to have that fear of missing out. So what that it went higher? Guess
Right,
what I got to do? I got to keep my money,
right, right, right,
right? So we're not going to have the fear of missing out. And because you want to ignore those emotional feelings. Oh, if I just waited longer, I could have made more. No,
right,
right? So I could have been like, well, I already knew it was going to go up to 5%, but I sold at 1.5%. Well, so it went up to, so Mara went up to 5%. And I got to show you guys that if I kept it, it would have stayed longer. So what though?
right.
Sell it, right? Okay, so here Mara's at 15. So I want to show you this. So this is why I like Mara today. Okay. For when I wasn't buying 50, 25, 100 shares. Okay. I could buy one share of Mara at $15.57, and I only needed to go up 15 cents. So 15 cents plus that. Okay, here, 155, 15 cents is 170. Look, oops, how come my cursor's not moving? No, no, now it's going to be funny with me. Oh no, I'm frozen again. Well, so anyway, my point is Mara went up here to about $15.90. That's one time. Then it went back down to 15.75. Then it went up to 16 something. It went up and down. You could have traded this stock 5 times today. And that's how I practiced. I bought one share and I was like, huh, I sold that for 1%. I bought another share. Huh, I sold that for 1%. Then I started buying 5 shares. Then I started buying 10 shares. Then I started buying 50 shares
Now, Terry,
because,
oh,
mhm.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
So let me ask you this. How do you, I mean, obviously I know it's the Holy Spirit. I'm just kind of see how does he work it through you where you're disciplined? Again, let's just say the stock day you're open up at 8:39 or whatever. No, it closes at 4. And then like you said, you're just seeing these things go up and down. You could have bought here, could have bought there. And using the 1% as the process non-emotional goal, how have you determined to say at 252, I got my 1%, I'm not touching it. Now I know there's always the opportunity to get more, a higher percentage.
Here's
But
how I
how do you, I mean, I know in definitely the Holy Spirit, but how do you
here
something like that 252 when you know you potentially can make more in the next 2 hours or lose, but be good at I got my 1%, I'm good.
here's how I did it, Mike. I would like to tell you that I listen to the Holy Spirit all the time, but I listen to the flesh.
Yeah,
Stuck a lot of times.
right, right,
That's how, right? I'm like, man, I could have sold that stock 4 times and now it's down and now I'm in it for another week.
right. Got you.
Now my
Got
money's there, and guess what I can't do with the money? I
you. Right.
can't make my 1% tomorrow
Got you.
because I got greedy.
Got you. I got you. Got you.
That's how I
Yep.
did it. I got greedy and I said, now I got to sit here and watch the stock until I'm ready to put. And that's why I said, here's the discipline. We have 1,000, you put $1,000 in and you're going to say, I'm going to put 250 in on the 1st to the 5th of every month and
Right.
you get stuck. You're not allowed to put more money in sooner.
Right.
Because if you do, you're not feeling the pain of,
Right.
now I got to sit here and wait because I wasn't disciplined and I
Right.
got greedy.
Got you.
That's exactly, that's
Got you.
exactly what happened with me.
No,
Right?
that's real. No, that's real. Because I'm
I,
saying it like just using your last example, like you're saying, it's going up and down, it's going up and down. And this is during the course of a day trade, like just in one day. So you're just
yeah.
like, you know, there's the process, like you said, the discipline is like, all right, cool, I got my 1%. And but it's only like 11:30 in the morning. You
Right.
got potential out, so and obviously watching the charts and see what it does
Oh,
piece. But
Mike, that's your statement made me think of something. Okay. So here's how I keep my money also. So let's say I'm trading with $10,000.
right,
Actually, let's say I'm trading with 1,000 because I want you guys to start. Let's say I'm trading with 1,000.
right,
Okay. I'm not going to trade with the whole 1,000. I'm going to buy $100 worth of stocks, right? And then I'm going to sell it. I'm not going to spend my next 100 until I've sold that. You see? So in Mara, I could have traded 5 times. So now let's say I bought 10 shares of Mara at $150. Now I sell her. Now that means that money becomes available to me tomorrow. I already got it back. Now I'm going to spend $150 again. I'm going to buy 10 more shares. Then I'm going to
Gotcha.
sell her. So that's how I'm not putting a whole thousand into it up front. And then now I got to wait. I'm buying 10 shares. Okay. But now if I have 10,000, I'm buying $1,000 worth,
Right,
right?
right,
If I have
right, right.
$1,000, I'm buying my 10 shares and then I'm waiting to sell her. And then when she goes back down, right now, if she goes back up and I don't sell her because I got greedy, and then she goes back down, this is what I would do. I'm like, well, she's going to go back up. So I'd buy another 10 shares and she never goes back up. Now I'm stuck with 20 shares.
Gotcha.
So that's how I would do it in increments, not spend the whole because you said, oh, it's only 10 o'clock. You're already at 1%. Oh, but that's assuming I put the whole thousand into it. I put the whole 10,000. So what I would do is I would spend a certain amount, sell that. I'd get out of it before I do the next amount and then get out of it. And it might not be the same stock.
Okay.
Might be SoFi went down, so I bought 10 shares of SoFi. SoFi went up, I sold her, and then Mara went down. So now I bought 10 shares of Mara. Mara went back up, so I sold her. So I'm keeping my money,
Gotcha.
right?
Gotcha.
Now I'm a little bit more comfortable with some stocks. So now I might have 50% of my portfolio gone. And then I sell it because I know, oh man, 4 of these stocks went down. This is my buy zone,
Gotcha.
right? So I'm looking for my buy zone. Buy zone is because I track the stock. So I know that Tesla will go down to 160. So it's going to go back down to this. Mara is going to go to 1480. So
So
1420 to 1480, I'm looking to buy Mara.
now zoning kind of implies that it's more than one. So using the Tesla example of the 160, it will be 160 to what, like 180? Because
Yeah.
zone implies there's
Yes.
it's two, it's a space in between.
Yes.
Okay,
Because
gotcha.
I don't know if she's actually really going to come back down to 160.
I got you.
Right? So now when she comes to 180, I'm going to buy 5 shares. When she gets to one, if she goes back up, I'm going to sell. If she goes down to, I got it at 5 shares at 180 and she goes down to 170, I buy 10 shares.
Gotcha.
Right? I'm buying the least amount at my higher buy zone. I'm buying more because I'm pretty confident she's going to go up. Right? But she might never go down to 160. So ExxonMobil, right? Oh, I'm going to buy Exxon at $100. She goes to 95, I'm going to buy more because Exxon's going to go past $100,
Right.
right? But I'm going to buy some at 100 because what if she doesn't go back down to 95?
Right.
See? So I've got a zone, a target area that this is
Right.
going to be my higher, so I'm going to buy less. And depending on the price of the stock, I might buy just one. Like, I mean, I bought Nvidia when Nvidia was like $1,000. So I was going to buy one share of
Right.
Nvidia.
Right. Right. Right.
Nvidia now is 120 because it did a stock split. It did a 10-for-1 stock split. Nvidia did.
Wow. 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 Wow.
Mhm.
Gotcha.
So, okay. So it's at 9:30. Are we out of time? We'll get this recording into the group. We'll keep it there for like 30 to 60 days so you guys can watch it over and over again, but you'll find that the material is going to start to be the same and we're going to be touching on stuff over again. Like you can do this. Action is going to be the thing that cures fear, and activity is going to make it so that you start to get more comfortable with trusting the notes that you're taking, right? Trusting the notes that you're taking.